What is going on, fellas? My wife and I have been blessed enough to move into a new house, so I'm working on putting together the new office/gun room, but it looks like we're missing a little something right there. So we're gonna turn this empty spot into the ultimate gun bench setup. Let's get into it. All right, so we don't have too much room to play with. I can only go 18 inches deep before it hits right there, so I think I'm just gonna get an 18-inch board, two 18-inch boards, glue them together to get them extra thick. I'm gonna get about 39 or 40 inches tall, just because I'm a taller guy and I can slide some bar stools underneath. I want to do slat board on the back, but that's kind of expensive. I think I'm just going to do pegboard and then light on top, maybe some accent lights behind it, maybe LED lights. I'm about to head to the store. I still don't really know what I want to do other than probably 4x4s, a 2x4 across, 2x4 to the back, and that 18-inch board over top. We're going to see how it goes. All right, after no joke, probably 2 hours at Home Depot, I think I got all the materials I need. We got two 2x4 by 8 foots, two 4x4 by 8 foots, a 2x4 by 10, and then for the tabletop, I went with a 4x8 piece of plywood. It's 15 by 30 seconds, or 15 30-seconds inch thick. I asked Home Depot to cut me 3 pieces that were 48 by 18. I'm gonna stack those 3 on top of each other, glue them, screw them in together, and then got the pegboard, so guess I'll start the process. All right, so here's the general idea, kind of the outline of how this table is gonna look. I think it's a little, that's definitely too tall. I think I'm gonna chop off 2, maybe 3 inches. I'm gonna chop off 3 inches and I still should be able to, there's gonna be a 2x4 right there for support. I probably just need a different chair in reality. We're gonna chop it 3 inches. Really shouldn't be doing that because you gotta do it, you know, a little bit at a time and I can't go back. But I'm gonna send it 3 inches, let's do it. All right, we got all these sanded down. Now 2x4 right there. All right, most of the work is done now. Now I'm going to sand all these, stain them, and then attach them. They're all loose right now. And then 2x4s on each side, tabletop on top, and then supports on the bottom. All right, we're gonna go in with the darker stain, Ebony 2718. I think that'll accent well. All right, first one finished up. I like the way that grain pops out. I might hit it a little bit more. But yeah, I'm liking it. Now we got to do it a million more times. All right, I finished staining all these a few hours ago. They look great. They're still a little bit wet, but I think I'm going to just screw all them in together so I can see how it looks and also so I can measure, cut, and stain the bottom supports. First one's done. Not the most accurate cuts, but it's too late now. We'll figure out what to do. All right, now we're starting to look like a table. All right, I was planning on having this middle section in here, but I don't have enough carpentry skills to really drill in from this end into there. I don't know. As you can tell, I'm not a carpenter, so let me know down in the comments. Just give me any tips on what to do. But anyways, I'm gonna have this right here as a spacer, make it level, and then that will make me know how far these need to be spread apart so I can have this outer piece, and then I'm gonna stain this later. All right, here is that cross support. Now we just gotta make sure that's the right level. This side is too. We screw it in. All right, I got those pieces stained and I got 2 more pieces stained that are gonna go up here, and then a piece across to hold my pegboard. While we let that dry, I'm gonna put on the first board for the actual tabletop. So it's getting exciting. All right, now we are starting to look like a workbench. I got the first layer on, and what the plan is I have these screwed in on top, and I have 2 more layers I'm gonna put on top of it, and then I'm gonna screw in from the bottom. Hopefully it doesn't protrude all the way through, but then it doesn't have, you know, screws on top, it's all underneath. So that's the plan. Now we wait for it to dry. I might move it into the office. All right, tabletop is officially structurally done, but now let's make it a little prettier. All right. I'm gonna blow this off, wipe it down with water. I guess we're gonna take it inside. All right. Fits perfectly. It's a little wobbly. I'm gonna have to put some shims or screw it into the studs. I like it so far. Yeah, that'll work. Now we need those 2 posts up here to put on the pegboard. All right, first one is on good. Now we do the second one. All right, both are up. Now I need to figure out what I want to do on top, because I have a 6-inch piece, but I want to maybe get an 8-inch. My hands are so black because it's still not dry. All right, fellas, it's a new day. I don't know where I left you guys off at, but I just wasn't happy with keeping the tabletop how it was. It just wasn't smooth enough, it wasn't dark enough, and it wasn't actually sealed. So what I did is I went in heavy with some 220 grit, got it as smooth as possible, and then I went in with a wet rag to lift up that grain. And then once it finishes drying, I'm gonna do 220 grit one more time to make it once again as smooth as possible, and then I'm gonna go in with 2 or 3 coats of some special walnut 224. After that, I'm gonna go in with 2, hopefully 3 coats of polyurethane sealant, just because using all these gun oils and gun solvents, I don't want to ruin that tabletop. And then for the top shelf, I'm gonna use a 2x8. It's gonna be right up here. I'm gonna have a shop light underneath it, and I think I'm gonna stain it that ebony color to match everything. And then I'm actually switching from the pegboard to a slat wall that I'm getting from Vivor. So I'm waiting for that to get sent in. I think this thing is gonna look sweet. I am not really a fan of how that turned out. All right, you staining professionals, tell me what's going on, because that stain made it look super dirty. I don't know what's going on. I guess I'm just gonna have to completely resand this, and I might just try a different color because I don't know if I like it. I kind of want it a little bit lighter. All right, we let it dry. Now let's see if we can take the stain off. I'm almost back to the original color, I think, but I can't seem to get some of these dirty spots out. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT, but y'all let me know if you know anything about staining, what the deal is with this. All right, if you can't fix the problem, embrace it. So I decided to switch to a weathered gray, and we're gonna see if that color will help it blend in a little bit. All right, we're gonna try to do it right this time, starting off with some pre-stain. All right, now we wait 5 to 15 minutes, wipe it away, and then go to the next step. All right, moment of truth. Hopefully it actually works out well. I don't have a small enough brush. Let's see how this goes. All right. I think I actually saved that. That turned out pretty good. I'm happy with that. All right, we're back in the office. 4 coats of satin polyurethane later, super smooth. I think it turned out great. You can tell there's a slight sheen, but it's not overpowering, so I think it turned out amazing. There are a few imperfections in the wood, which I'm pretty sure was just holes, and they filled it with some wood filler, and it wasn't noticeable until you added that stain, and now it pops out, but it's fine. And then I also added some polyurethane on all of the top surfaces, anything that might collect dust, just to make it easier to clean, as well as that top board. And also my Vivor slat wall finally came in, so now we can actually finish the build. Actually really impressed with how high quality this is, especially for the price, and I should have an 8% discount code right there. Make sure to check out that link in the description. All right, I screwed the 2x4s back in. I got them up a little bit higher so I can have an 1.5 inch gap between the tabletop and the bottom of the slat board, so whenever that LED lights are on, it gives it that floating effect. Same thing up top. I got about a 3-inch gap up there. Since I'm also having a shop light up here, it would just be wasted space if I didn't do that. And then right now the slat board is only held in by tension with this ratchet strap, just so I can know exactly where I need to screw in this top shelf. All right, so my original plan to secure the slat wall was to screw in some boards back here to these 2x4s and then secure the slat wall to those boards right there. But that comes with 2 issues. 1, add some unnecessary bulk back here, and 2, I would have to screw into here, so that would kind of ruin the aesthetic. So my plan now is to just screw in screws all along here that will screw into this little plastic sheet that's the border, and that should be plenty to hold this in place, especially since this is already pretty firm itself and there's not much weight going on here. All right, I got screws drilled in everywhere on both sides. I got it as sturdy as I need it to be, and now let's add some lighting. Now let's quickly talk about using LED light strips as accent lights, because if my goal is to turn this into a modern, sleek design, you gotta have accent lights. So in the very beginning, without any hesitation, I went on Amazon and just bought your cheap 50-foot strand of LED lights for like $9 because I've used them in the past and they've worked fine. So as I was waiting for them to arrive, I start putting my thinking cap on, and you've probably seen LED light strips before, but in case you haven't, imagine literally a strip with LED lights probably 1.5 inches, 2 inches apart. And so I start thinking, if I put that behind here, push it up against a wall, even though you're not seeing the lights directly, they're bouncing light off the wall, and being that close to the wall, you're gonna see hot spots all around the entire thing. It'll look bad, it's gonna look cheap, you can't have that here. So I had to start doing some research, what are better options? So as I'm doing my research, I come across the term COB lights, which stands for chip on board. So instead of having individual lights every 1 or 2 inches, you have a whole bunch of tiny LEDs packed together going along the strip, making it look like one continuous light. And I was like, that's what I need. So I go on Amazon and I start searching for COB lights, and to my surprise, they are way more expensive, but rightfully so, just because there's way more LED lights. But I'm searching and finally came across some LED lights that were actually priced fairly well from a company called MIWISE, and they had some great reviews. I'll actually have them linked either in my Amazon storefront or directly in the description below. But I reached out to MIWISE. They were actually kind enough to send these over to me for the video and sponsor the video, so huge thank you to MIWISE. So MIWISE has plenty of different options depending on what you need and what your budget is. They have some options where it's just single colors, so in case that's all you need, I'm pretty sure it's their cheapest option. Great way to go. If you want a strip that changes color, they have their RGB, and then this right here, which I think is their highest end, is their RGB Smart IC, so it can change colors, and I can actually change each segment to whatever color I want in case I ever wanted to. So that's what I went with. I'm excited to see what it looks like on here. So even though technically I only needed a 12-foot strand because 4 foot, 4 foot, 2 foot, 2 foot, I decided to go with a 24-foot strand in case I wanted to do a second lap around to make that light pop more. And more specifically, I want to do a strand on top right here and the strand on bottom right here, since this is such a big gap, make that light pop more. But I don't think that's necessary on this bottom side with that small gap. I haven't decided if I want to do it right here or right here, but we'll figure it out. All right, all finished up. I am impressed how bright this is. I decided to do the double lap, top and bottom. I ran out on the bottom, so I kind of cut across and just did the middle section. But I'm excited. I'm very impressed with how that turned out. I mean, we can do different colors. There's white. You got like these different modes you can do. It'll look better whenever you're not looking directly at it. This is almost blinding to me. But yeah, let's push it against this wall and see how it looks. All right, moment of truth. Let's see how it works. Heck yeah, I like that. Let's see. That's blue, red, cyan. I was thinking about going blue. I might do cyan. There's white. You guys let me know what your favorite color is and what you think would be the best color to match this kind of bench. It's got those fun colors too. I wonder how well this remote will work if I'm not pointing. Oh, wow. Let's point the remote out here and it still turns off. That's impressive that you don't have to directly point the remote at the controller. So that's pretty high-end stuff. I like that. Now we have to add, gotta get rid of those fun colors. Now we gotta add the shop light up top, and then we can actually start adding tools. Here's those lights dimmed down a little bit better. Like I said, I'll have the MIWISE COB lights linked down below or in my Amazon storefront. And then for the shop light itself, this is just a cheap Harbor Freight light. It's a 4 foot
5,500 lumens. I'll have a similar option on my Amazon storefront, and I'm just hooking it up with command strips on the bottom of here, and then it's powered by an old power strip I had laying around, but once again, I'll have a similar option on Amazon, and then that's also hooked up by command strips, and now I can also power some thermal batteries and whatnot and have like a little charging station right there. And now, perfect. Now we just gotta shorten that up. Now we can actually start installing tools, so I'm excited. What is a good gun bench without good gun tools? And luckily, Real Avid was kind enough to send me a little care package. Starting off with what I would consider the center of the bench is a quality gun vise. And this right here is the master. Let's hope nothing broke. This right here is the master gun vise. Gosh, this right here is the master gun vise. We'll get into it later, we'll unbox it. We'll actually screw it into here, but I'm super excited about this. I haven't heard nothing but good things about this. All right, let's see here. Number two, what I was worried would actually break. We're fine, it's already unboxed, is their Smart Torque and Driver Master Set. So this is pretty exciting. We have torque wrench with pretty much every single bit I need, along with a little, not a torque wrench, but a wrench with a flashlight on the end, so that'll be pretty neat. And then a little bit of a handle to get me some better torque on it. Then we got the Master Bench Pro Block and the hammer and punch set. Always gotta have a good punch set, and it comes with that block as well. Then we have, everybody's got to have a solid armorer's wrench. The master armorer's wrench from Real Avid is going to be a go-to. Can't wait to hang that on the wall. And finally, a little patch. Send it. And just like that, it's finally finished. It honestly turned out way better than I thought it would. I absolutely love how it turned out. Let's do a quick overview. I don't know if I showed you guys earlier, but if you look really closely at these MIWISE lights, there's absolutely no hot spot. It just looks like one continuous light, makes it look super clean. Then up top, I have my nods just as some quick decoration. The shop light is holding up amazing with the command strips. No issue at all with me pulling that strand. And then for the actual slat wall accessories and hooks, I just went on Amazon and bought a variety pack from a company called, I believe, Beeptily. It'll be down in the Amazon storefront as always. Came with a few baskets, smaller baskets, some shelves, your standard hooks, and it also came with something called utility hooks, and I thought I would not be using those at all. I thought they were pointless. I absolutely love these. I have probably used those more than anything else. If you look at something like the Smart Wrench set, it just has a shallow hole, so I bent it out a little bit and it fits perfectly right there. Same thing with this punch set. There's no holes at all, but there's a little flat spot. So I bent that out and now it fits there perfectly. Then we have some of their 4-inch hooks. Works great for my wrench, and then some of their multi-tool hooks have my screwdrivers in case I don't want to use that, and then my little wrenches, and then some extras that didn't fit on here. And then I have 2 trays or shelves. This is my little charging station for my thermal batteries. Here's another shelf for my lubes and my brake cleaner. I love using brake cleaners, it just makes it so much easier. And then right here is a magnetic tray from Harbor Freight. It was like $2, so that was a must-have. And then down here is just an area for my anything that's going to be a quick project that I'm using in the near future. So I have some arc and scope rings on there, and they work perfectly right there. And then I wanted to have a slat wall basket out here, but it's just too bulky. So what I did was I decided to maximize as much space as possible, and I created this little contraption right here. So this right here is one of those slat wall baskets from the kit, and then I screwed in 2 of those utility hooks sideways, and then I have a protruding screw down here. So I can slide that in there and then push down to hook into that screw right there. I'm trying to show this the best I can, and now it's solid in there. And then I have some extra storage for pieces that I'm not using as often. And then check out how cool this vise is. So it has your standard metal jaws, but it also has these inserts that are cushioned on one side and then have plastic with different overmolding on the other side. So in case you forgot to get a magwell vise block like I did, you can just put your AR lower in the cushion side, work on your trigger like you need to, and then you can drop it down here. I can work on my bolt release, get back up here, lock it in place. It's so easy. And then one of my favorite parts about this thing is, you know how much I love see how easy that was? You just swap sides. Here's the metal if you just need to go bare metal. But you guys know how much I love my Arca rails. I have Arca rails on almost every single gun. This has a built-in spot for Arca rails and Picatinny rails. So I can screw in, I can adjust wherever I need to, which I don't really think there's much of a need for that. But you screw in, now it's solid right here, and I can move this wherever I need to, wherever I want to work on my gun. And then I can also do something with the scope, which is pretty neat. And now I have my budget 22 bench gun set up on here on the Arca rails again. I just made a video about this gun and I took it out to 500 yards. So make sure to check that out after this video. But right here, there's this little lever. If I pull it and twist it, it micro turns it so I can level out the scope on here. How neat is that? Make sure to go down in the comments and let me know what you would add or take away to turn this into your dream gun bench setup. I'll make sure I have everything either linked directly in the description or in my Amazon storefront. Don't forget, I do have a discount code for the slat wall. It's been working amazing so far. The MIWISE COB LEDs will be in my Amazon storefront. Huge shout out to them for sponsoring the video. The Real Added Tools, I don't currently have a discount code for it, but you can still make sure to use the link that's in the description to go straight to their website and still help me out without any extra cost to you. If you haven't already, make sure to like, subscribe, share this with your buddies, and I'll catch you fellas in the next one. See ya.